1 year post-breakup, and I can't believe I made it.
I just want it to be over.
You may know me from this very viral breakup song video about how I moved to Texas with the love of my life because he wanted to be closer to his family, and 30 days after he moved in, he handed me a note that was so generic you could probably buy it in the CVS card section. This has been the most difficult year of my life.
I don't know how anyone gets through this.
And starting on month 3 after I posted that video and that went crazy, I started posting monthly updates about how each month of healing went.
And can we just take a moment to appreciate the evolution from just this to this?
But now for the 1 year mark, I want to be able to kind of reflect on all of it and give some extra context. So here I am making my first long form video as we blow up some balloons.
If you want to skip the personal stuff, go to like 3 minutes in.
I'll kind of give an overview for anyone who's new here. This was not a we broke up situation. This was out of the blue after we had just committed to settling down in our forever home together. After 30 days of manual labor, at our happiest, he just handed me a note and said, "That's it. Bye." No explanation, little to no empathy. It was a complete shock to me to the extent that I was like, is this a psychotic break? Am I dreaming? Woo! Balloons! Fuck yeah. Black, obviously. Context I want to give. In the summer of 2023, I almost gave up on my dreams, and I said, hey, one last ditch effort. I'm gonna try this cover series on TikTok. Lo and behold, that took off. In that last year in LA, things started really growing for me. Like, people started taking me seriously as a producer. Things were going good until he said that he wanted to move to Texas, and I knew immediately that I would follow him. I didn't say that immediately. There was some trust that needed to be rebuilt because we had had a rocky time, but I was told it was just because he wanted to move to Texas and he saw me succeeding in LA for the first time and didn't want to pin that on me or whatever.
So yes, I was very cautious. We had a lot to communicate about, and he guaranteed he wanted me to come about 1,000,000 times.
But I loved him, and it took months to convince myself that it wasn't worth staying in LA. LA is not a place to settle down.
By the end of it, I was more excited about the idea of our new life in Texas than I'd ever been about anything else.
Backing up out of my driveway. Goodbye, California. It's been real. So as a female in the music industry, which is notoriously sexist and ageist, I decided to give up the last of my 20s to move to Texas with him. When he handed me that note, I felt like my last 10 years crumbled. I had just given up on my dreams and gotten them back too many times. I had no idea how I would move back to California then, after rental prices had gone up $500-600 a month from the last time I rented alone. I had run out of chances, and I had taken that last chance for him. My life as I knew it was over. So that's just some additional context as to why this was so devastating for me. And I know that that's the case with a lot of people. Like, you're not just mourning the person, you're mourning the life, the whole life you had with them. I got some notes so I don't ramble. My hope with this video is to be of comfort to somebody, because these are the resources I was looking up when this first happened. So, phase 1, utter shock, despair, full-blown mental health crisis. I have been depressed before, and I have never experienced anything like this.
I don't think I've ever truly been depressed until now. I don't care about anything.
I was treating myself by doing all my favorite things. Like, I stopped working and I would do arts and crafts, and I would let myself write new songs. I would read for as long as I wanted. I loved to read. All these things felt like doing push-ups. I couldn't concentrate on them. I hated every word I read, every stitch I statched. I guess the only thing that kind of occupied me in that time was writing songs, because then I was swimming with the tide. One day I'll wake up, one day but not today, with the same sort of acceptance that birds fly and people change. I was naturally thinking about it, processing it, and that gave me an outlet to do so that wasn't just sitting still, full of despair. Also, in the first couple weeks especially, it's like my body was downloading the information that this actually happened. My subconscious default state was so used to being in a partnership that it felt like a stop motion video where every other second I was realizing all over again that this had happened. There's this terrible story of my childhood dog was barking really loud one day in the big wooded backyard. We were calling, Lizzie, 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 come in, Eventually my mom went out to go investigate, and apparently her collar had gotten stuck on the fence, and we had an electric fence, and it just kept zapping her and zapping her and zapping her. I hate telling that story, but like that's the metaphor that comes to mind. Those first few weeks, that was like my psyche. Every 3 seconds is like being zapped with the truth.
It's over. Wait, what? It's over. Wait, I forgot.
But it got better.
And now I feel like my subconscious is finally starting to understand that it is something that's in my past.
I was still just so depressed, but I remember having my first spark of joy a month in. I remember the exact moment I realized, wait a second, did I actually enjoy playing RuneScape last night? I think I actually did. And that was the night after I recorded this insane voice memo that ended up in several of my songs, but you've heard it in Before I Fall Apart. So, the lesson I've learned over and over is just having an outlet for your rage and grief and letting it rip is the best thing you can do. We're gonna call that all phase 1. Usher in phase 2, months 3 and 4.
Nearly 10 weeks post-breakup, and I'm finally starting to take him off of a pedestal and see his flaws. Oh my God, the amount of mental gymnastics I have to do to understand and excuse this man for his abhorrent behavior and inability to communicate is insane.
This is when I posted the video, and I swear I had no idea it was gonna do what it did, but that gave me so much motivation and this useful outlet for what I was feeling. That made it so that I could get by for the next month as I trudged through this shit. It felt like something in the universe telling me it's not over. It gave me hope in my purpose, my sense of self again, and something to work for. So thank you. Thank you. Now, I know that's not very relatable. That amount of attention and validation does not happen to everybody. But I will say, if you can find that community, it's so helpful. Before all that, I was like lurking all the Reddit threads, trying to find comfort in other people that were going through this too. But me posting the video and everything that came after it showed that phase, month 3 and 4, was me giving up on hope that he was ever coming back. I think holding off until then was because I knew once I hit post, if there had been any chance, it would be gone. What I think maybe everyone goes through to a certain extent is like a rebellion phase. Even if it wasn't about him, if I had posted stuff like that about a different topic while we were dating, he would have thought it was so cringe. He would have hated all of it, So I fully leaned in, overcompensated a little bit, but in doing so reclaimed a part of myself that I had slowly dulled while we were together.
Something else I forgot to say during this phase, this is where I really came out of shock and was able to kind of catalog the whole story more clearly, which helped me realize what sort of resources I needed to seek out to keep healing. Before this point, I really couldn't take comfort in anything.
Phase 3, January and February. At this point, I'm kind of getting my shit together to like release music about this. I have some pep in my step, and this is when no contact kind of comes naturally. Whenever anyone would tell me in the first couple months, like, you have to go no contact, all I thought was, you are so naive. In the mental state I was in, there wasn't a choice in the matter, okay? I was in a state. I was like, the fact that you can even suggest that means that you've never experienced something like this.
I have to count down every minute since the last time I texted him and try not to do it again. And that's my life. I don't know how people get through this. I feel like I need to be tied down to the bed so that I don't contact him.
But at that point, all communication fully stopped. Not that there had been much before that, but I didn't have this overwhelming need to try to figure it out or even just be on good terms, because that's what was mostly driving me. I'd given up on the thought of him coming back, but I just didn't want to hate him. That broke my heart, to hate him. And I kept trying because I wanted to understand.
I gave him every chance. I extended every olive branch. I just hate that we were so in love and now we hate each other. It's disgusting.
He'd been so horrible to me, and I did all this work to try to understand him and try to coddle his issues when he should have been the one. Anyway, at that point, I had just tired myself out on thinking about it, journaling about it, writing about it, and every time I went to even privately journal, I was like, there's nothing left, I've said it all. Phase 4, months 7 and 8.
And 9.
This is when I just really start getting antsy. And I'm like, okay, I've stayed at my mom's house. I've been in the emotional ICU. I've extended my stay here because it felt like the responsible thing to do financially. But I need to leave the nest or I'm going to get stuck. And that anxiety just like built and built until I knew I just had to do it. So booked a flight to Nashville to look at apartments. That was freaky, scary, sad. Like there are all these moments of despair relapse that would happen, but they got way less frequent as the months went on. I think it really hit the tipping point in December, January, when it started being like I had more good days than bad days. And then by March, April, I was like really mostly having good days. Good days in the sense of like normal days. As long as I wasn't catatonically breakup depressed, that was a good day. So I moved. And it was scary and exciting. Had lots of projects to do to move in. Great forward momentum.
Okay, how did I just totally glaze over how this is when I like started dating again? I felt sparks, hooked up with someone else. I felt more pulled by the future than defined by the wreckage of my past.
I'm excited for this phase in my life. I don't know how long it's gonna last, but I'm excited.
So moving on to phase 5, final phase, months 10, 11, and 12. You know, I was having a bad day today, and I've had some sad moments over the past month, because now as I'm settling in to life on my own, not in this state of limbo at my mom's house with her very lovely companionship, I'm lonely and scared about my future and my career, and I guess keep comparing it to this time a year ago when I thought I had everything figured out. I was so settled with the person I thought was my forever partner. We owned a home, and it's just hard to not compare. Even though like now I have more hope in a bigger future, I just felt so safe then. And that's been hard to compare over the past couple months. But I realize my concerns now are just the normal concerns of a 30-year-old woman figuring her life out, single. My concerns now aren't how am I going to make the hours between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. go by so that I can go to sleep and be unconscious. It's hard to put to words what my concerns were during the dark days.
Because I guess my only concern was trying to care enough about life to have concerns again.
Yeah, it's tough living alone, and I haven't found my next Prince Charming, but I'm here. I live in my own apartment that I pay for. I released an EP with all these songs on it. I made merch. Look, Texas isn't for lovers, isn't that great? Things are scary and dating sucks, but I have a life. And I thought my life was over, and it's not. It's a rocky road, but if you're in it, you'll get here. I'm so sorry that you're having to deal with this. And there's very little I can tell you that will make it better. I just hope that this distracted you for a few minutes. And if you need anything more to relate to, I've done a lot of crying on the internet, so just scroll back in my Instagram feed. Okay. That's all.